Okay, let's talk about a number that drives a lot of us absolutely crazy, $1 million. And, specifically that massive gap between the super high earning tech workers and, well, pretty much everyone else. So how on earth do they do it? And, way more importantly, how can you compete if you don't have that six-figure tech salary? Let's get into it.
So picture this, a standard software engineer. A good job saves half their income. They can hit $1 million portfolio in about 9 years. Not bad at all. But you take that same engineer, put them in big tech, they can do it in less than 4. That right there, that's the high income advantage. And man, it sets a brutal pace for anyone else trying to play the same game.
And for most people, hearing that math is, well, it's just demoralizing, isn't it? It honestly feels like you're playing a completely different sport with a different set of rules. So let's just call it what it is, the unfair math.
I wonder if this scenario here feels a little familiar. Maybe you're 43, you're making a decent salary, around $73,000 a year, but you look at your retirement savings, and it's only 13 grand. You look around, and it just feels like everyone else is a decade ahead of you. It is an awful, awful feeling.
But here is where things get really interesting. You have to hear this. A staggering 80% of millionaires are first generation. They didn't get a huge inheritance. They didn't just get lucky with some stock options. They just played a different game than everyone else. And that's what's so powerful here. It means there are other rules we can follow. And this brings us to what is probably the biggest hurdle, and it's all in our heads, the comparison trap. Because when all the advice out there seems like it's built for these super high earners, it can feel completely impossible to even get started.
I mean, think about it. When an average earner puts their numbers into one of those online retirement calculators, the result can be absolutely terrifying. To replace a $70,000 salary using the old-school rules, you might need a net worth of almost $2 million. That figure is it's beyond intimidating.
And what's the result of that math? The calculator spits back a number like this one, 76. Yeah, that's the grim reality it presents. You're basically staring down the barrel of working until you die. And then, to make it all worse, you go online and you see this kind of stuff. This is the whole fat FIRE trap. This idea of an incredibly extravagant lifestyle that requires a nearly impossible amount of money. It just creates this toxic culture of comparison that makes everyone feel poor. Which leads to this brilliant little piece of wisdom from the financial independence community: don't compare your pineapples. It's kind of quirky, I know, but it basically means stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. The only person you're in a race with is who you were yesterday.
See, the key to beating this high earner advantage isn't about trying to magically earn more. It's about completely redefining the finish line. You don't need their plan, you need a new plan.
And this is where it gets really fun. Here is your escape hatch. It's a strategy called barista FIRE. Now, the idea isn't to just stop working altogether. It's about leaving that high-stress career behind and covering some of your living expenses with a low-stress, part-time job that you actually enjoy.
So the path looks something like this. First, you build a solid portfolio, but not a massive multi-million-dollar one. Then you get to leave that corporate grind. After that, you're just working maybe 10, 15 hours a week doing something fun. And the result? You get your freedom back decades sooner, all because the financial target is so much lower.
But the real secret, the thing that makes this whole strategy work, it all comes down to one thing: aggressively, ruthlessly lowering your mandatory baseline expenses. For an average earner, this is your superpower.
Look, high earners, they can afford to inflate their lifestyles. But you have to be smarter. You have to hunt down and destroy those hidden wealth drainers. And for most people, the biggest one is sitting right in the driveway.
So you've got a choice. Path 1 is the trap, a financed new car that's just draining, say, $1,000 a month from your bank account. Path 2 is the key, a reliable used car that's totally paid off. 0 payments means you have the freedom to invest every single one of those dollars.
Just look at what's happening here. That $1,000 is the exact same amount of money every month. But look where it's going. One bar is just debt paid to a car company. The other, that's an investment in your own future. That $1,000 a month invested instead of spent, it could grow into over $200,000 in just 10 years.
When you make a choice like this, you're not just saving some money. No, no, no. You are literally shaving decades off the time you are forced to work. You just don't need a massive salary when you refuse to go into debt for a depreciating metal box.
And hey, if you think this is just a strategy for average earners, here's a startling reality check for everyone. We are living in an age of nonstop tech layoffs. Even those super high-paying, secure jobs, they're not a guarantee anymore. Relying on just one paycheck is a very risky game for anyone to be playing.
The good news in all of this is that you can reclaim your power. Yeah, the high earner advantage is a real thing, but it is not the only path to the finish line. You can absolutely change the math of your own life.
So let's wrap it up. Here's the new playbook. First, aggressively lower your expenses. Second, just completely reject that toxic comparison culture. Third, embrace these smarter strategies, like Barista Fire. You don't build a portfolio out of fear of not having enough. You build it out of awareness of what you truly need.
So I'll just leave you with this final question. Do you want to grind away at a stressful desk job until you're 76, all to hit some arbitrary number someone else made up? Or would you rather redefine that finish line and find your own freedom decades sooner? The choice is yours.